Yeah, see, here's the thing, though, if we're talking about surprise moments from the Jets, because arguably Aaron Rodgers joining the Jets, what would you say, biggest storyline going into the NFL season?
Definitely.
Yeah, okay. So they did not do the Jets any favors here with their schedule. So they start off the season home against Buffalo. I mean, that's kind of normal. It's a division game. Then they travel to Dallas to play the Cowboys. Then the Jets are home for New England.
That's a good matchup. I don't mind that one at all.
Okay, then home for Kansas City. So you get the reigning champs. You do get them at home. Then you've got to go a mile high to Denver. We think Denver's not going to be as bad as they were last year.
Okay. But come on, they won 5 games last year. You can't complain about that.
No, but that's still a tough game. I know that the Jets actually won that game last year in Denver. And then you're facing the Philadelphia Eagles. So
they did put the 2 Super Bowl teams in the first half of the schedule. You could argue that that's an advantage.
Well, yes, the back half of the schedule
which
definitely lightens up. But so here's why I think it's not an advantage, though.
Yeah, why?
You have like a team that's all trying to gel around a new quarterback.
Right, get those Chiefs and Eagles. Get those L's out of the way, and you're going to be ready to go by the second half of the season.
What if you're like 2-5?
That's what the Packers were last year, ironically.
I know, and they didn't make the playoffs, and they needed like a last week of the season home win against Detroit, and they couldn't do it. This is in the AFC now. This is going to be a lot harder, at least on paper. This is shaping up to be a gauntlet for them. I just wonder if they could be out of the playoffs before you even get to week 7. Because if you start 2-5, that's going to be, or whatever, say you start 1-5.
That is cynical about the Jets.
I mean,
listen, they got New England.
Why wouldn't I be cynical about the Jets?
New England at home. I mean, what are the easy games on this? Pull out their second half. What's so easy about the second half?
The schedule does get easier in the second half, no doubt. I mean, it lightens up quite a bit, but still.
Not that much. I mean, listen.
You play the Giants. And
Giants are a playoff team.
Then the Chargers, but that's at home.
Team.
You go face the Raiders.
They're pretty talented, but
then you go to Buffalo.
Yeah, this is brutal still.
Home for the Dolphins.
Brutal.
You host the Falcons, host the Texans.
Well, that
lightens up a little.
Yeah, you're saying so. Put those at the front of the schedule.
Then you go to Miami, host the Commanders.
Easy.
Go to Cleveland, finish out the season with the Patriots in Foxborough.
Cleveland's the one that nobody knows about. Talking about the mystery, they could be really good or really not good. Okay, we're going to break down winners and losers. Can I just read you something that's relevant to what you're talking about right now?
Go ahead.
This is the 2022 schedule release day winners and losers.
Okay, so this is 1 year ago.
1 year ago
today, basically?
Basically, yes. Yeah. So the winners and losers of the 2022 NFL schedule. Sporting News has their biggest winner, the Green Bay Packers.
Whoops.
Bleacher Report has their biggest loser, the Green Bay Packers. But the Bleacher Report starts off, they say the biggest winner is Indianapolis, who has the easiest schedule of pretty much anyone they could see. And they had Jeff Saturday coaching halfway through the year. Yeah. They had their biggest loser is the Kansas City Chiefs. So my point is there's an inexact science. And even last year, they both had the opposite winners and losers. The funny thing is, I read a lot of winners and losers columns today. A lot of people had the Jets as a winner because they get the spotlight. People think that Jets fans should be happy about that.
Well, I'm sure they are because they've basically been ignored for the last few years. Right. However, let me paint this picture for you. And I'm not necessarily sure this is going to happen. I think the Jets are going to be a good team. Hell, they could beat the Bills week 1. I bet that happens. But how do you think this is going to go philosophically if they lose a lot of games up front? What kind of Aaron Rodgers interviews are we getting on Pat McAfee then? Because I'm sorry, you cannot preach patience here.
Well, yeah,
that's impossible. No one's buying that because Aaron Rodgers is there for 2 years, maybe. Patience. You don't have anything like that.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, it's a 17-game schedule, and whoever has the most wins gets in the playoffs. So I don't even care. I don't care how the Pat McAfee interviews are going.
No, but I'm saying the pressure is going to build because Rodgers went into his first interview, press conference, whatever, with the Jets and said that Lombardi trophy from 1969 is looking a little lonely.
Yeah.
He set the standard high. If they start the year like 1-5, it's going to look like a disaster.
It'll look like a disaster, and they can't start 1-5. But they're going to have to beat those teams at some point anyway if they really want to sort of reach this potential that we're talking about here. Yeah, I hear you. No, I would not be psyched if I was a Jets fan. Can I tell you in general, my biggest loser out of this year's schedule?
Yeah, go ahead.
It is, and it's pretty lame because it's not because of what happened last night in the schedule release. But we talked about it pre-show. The AFC East and the NFC East, they're going to take major step backs. Yeah. Warren Sharp does a great job projecting schedules based on win probability, basically kind of what Vegas said as wins. And the hardest schedules, according to him, are the Patriots, the Bills, the Chiefs, the Raiders, and the Dolphins are the 5 hardest schedules.
Yep.
The AFC East is brutal, and the NFC East, I think you have 3 really good teams, Philly, Dallas, and then maybe a step below the Giants, and they all play each other. I think you're going to see a bunch of new teams rise to the top based on schedule alone. So, and not to make you nervous about your Bills, but that is a gauntlet of a division.
I've known that. I mean, the moment that Aaron Rodgers entered the division, you knew all of a sudden it was going to get much, much harder. It's already hard. I think add to it, a lot of those teams you just mentioned are teams that are also going to Europe.
Yeah.
So Bills are going to Europe, Chiefs are going to Europe, Dolphins are going to Europe.
But Chiefs will be fine.
Well, they'll be. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
they have one of the hardest schedules.
Right. No. Yeah, that's funny. I'm not worried about them at all. But I'm definitely worried about the AFC East sort of knocking each other out of the playoff race. Maybe Aaron Rodgers and the Jets, maybe the Dolphins, maybe the Bills. I mean, not a lot of buzz. We talked about this yesterday. It's the exact opposite of last year. Last year, you're feeling so good about the Bills. Not you, but everybody.
I never feel good.
The little parts that I watched of the schedule release show on the NFL Network were all about how great the Jets are going to be. That was the entire theme. So everybody else is sort of falling off. Watch the Browns or some team we're not even talking about right now just rise to the top, in part because they have an easier schedule.
Yeah, I was actually looking at some of those other teams. Like, I know they don't have a massive fan base, so maybe you don't have a lot of people to be, like, outraged, like taking it to the streets. But the Chargers do not have back-to-back home games. Now, at one point, they have a home game, their bye, and then a home game, so maybe that makes up for it. But they alternate every single week except for if their bye. It's like, that to me, that kind of sucks. You don't get any traction at home at all. Maybe get the fans kind of into it. I just don't think there is like enough of a fan base there for anyone to care. But I care. I'm outraged on behalf of the Charger fan.
Outraged? Does that strong? That word strike you as a little strong?
Well, I'm like mildly irritated.
Did you see they have 6 night games too? What
they got one of the full primetime schedules. Yeah. Right.
Except that I noticed the teams that got a lot of primetime games late in the season. Meaning we'll see how you're doing, Chargers.
How about also little bit of a makeup call here for Amazon with the Thursday night games, whereas last year those games were so bad that even Al Michaels was commenting on the game about how just awful it was. And they now get quite a bone. So Vikings at Eagles, which actually, though, given Kirk Cousins' primetime performances, that was a blowout last year. Okay, scratch that. Lions at Packers. You're also getting the Dolphins at Jets because that's the Amazon Black Friday game.
Yeah. I'm looking at this now. You got the Bears and Commanders at week 5.
Two Bears games, actually.
Well, the week 5 Thursday night game is always the worst. They have this little dip about 4 weeks.
They should let Al take a break.
Well, it's better than, remember when the Jags and the Titans used to play about 7 Thursday night games a week? It felt like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm looking at the schedule, Maggie. Do you really think this is so strong? Because
I think it's stronger than last year.
You got the Jags at the Saints, the Bucks at the Bills. If the Bucks are really bad, I would hope that's a blowout for your Bills. Titans, Steelers, eeks. That's pretty bad.
Oh, too bad the Titans
Panthers,
social media team
Bears.
Can't be the ones on the field. They're the real MVPs of this whole thing with their schedule release video from yesterday, which was wonderful. We encourage you all to take a look at it.
Oh, it was amazing. Week 10, Panthers at Bears. That's a bad game.
Listen, that's a Bryce Young, Justin Fields, cool young quarterbacks game. Or you think Andy Dalton's going to be starting?
I don't think. I'm hoping Andy Dalton is not injured at that point, and Bryce Young is not injured at that point, and Justin Fields is still on the field. I think that is a TBD quarterback matchup.
Listen,
who's Fields' backup, by the way? Does anyone know off the top of their head?
No clue.
It's got to be someone. They'll find somebody.
Is it Chase Daniel by chance?
Yeah,
good.
When in doubt.
Yeah, good shot in the dark there, Manny. No, how about, Chicago, you could say, was a winner. Not only they're set to play a bottom half schedule. So they've got one of the easiest slates, like the 15th easiest slate, according to the 2022 win percentage. And now they've also got all these primetime games, even though they finished 3-14 last year.
So you're not going to like who their backup quarterback is?
I'm not going to like it? Why?
Think about this.
Who would irritate me as a backup quarterback?
Yes, he has in the past. I'll give you one hint. 5 interceptions.
Peterman?
Peterman looked good in Week 18,
Come
by
on.
the way. He looked really good. They had to take him out of the game. They had to take him out of the game because they almost won and cost themselves the #1 pick. So he leads this great touchdown drive. They also signed P.J. Walker, so I guess he could be the backup as well. Yeah, the Bears, here's the whole problem with this whole stupid exercise.
What's that?
Quarterbacks are too mobile and can't stay healthy anymore, so we do not know where they're going to be late in the season, which I think is part of the reason, as Ani Bose explained, there's a heavy flexibility component to this year's schedule.
Yeah, and they're smart to do it. I mean, if you're doing it for the fans, then it's the best thing to do. Although we know the networks can protect one game.
Gosh, I am so irrationally excited for these games. It's stupid, too.
Which one?
I mean, the Lions-Chiefs, just start that one. The Lions-Chiefs opener.
Yeah.
I'm just
because you want to bet the over. That's why.
That's not just that. I'm so curious to see if the Lions can deliver on all this promise. I mentioned yesterday, Lamar Jackson and this receiving core. Aren't you dying to know?
I'm just dying to see Lamar in a different offense.
Yeah. Right, with more weapons. I think that's going to be great. There's so many little things. Trevor Lawrence, will he take the next step? What is Deshaun Watson? Is he a good football player? There's so many. Russell Wilson and Sean Payton. We don't need the NFL does not need us to market for them.
Yeah.
They're doing pretty good.
This was fun. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227.